Thanks for joining me for tonight's call. Tonight we're going to talk about something very important but often overlooked. How do you know if your retirement plan is actually designed for the risks we're all going to face in retirement? Because retirement planning is very different than in the accumulation years. When you're younger, the question is, how do I grow my money? But when you approach retirement, the questions change. How do I protect what I've worked so hard to build? How do I create income I can count on? What happens if the market drops right after I retire? Am I paying too much in fees or taking risks I don't fully understand? And one of the biggest challenges I see is that many people have a retirement plan, but they've never had someone step back and ask, is this still the right plan for the retirement you want to have? And you may already have an advisor. You may have an IRA, a 401k, a brokerage account, and everything might just be clicking right along. But just like before you have a big medical procedure, sometimes you'd like to get a second opinion. Because retirement is not just about having enough money, it's about knowing your money is positioned in a way that supports the life you want to live. So let's get started. The Secure Act and your IRA. Is your retirement mountain safe to descend? I've often said that a properly structured IRA is one of the keys to a worry-free retirement. Most people spend 30 or 40 years climbing the retirement mountain, contributing to a 401k, rolling it into an IRA account, watch it grow, and think the hard part is over. But here's what many people don't realize. More mistakes happen coming down the retirement mountain than climbing it. And that's why today's discussion matters. So saving money is relatively straightforward. You contribute, you invest, hopefully you accumulate. But retirement is different. I often say that retirement flips the script. Now every withdrawal matters. Taxes matter. Income matters. Beneficiaries matter. And one wrong decision can cost you thousands. Let me ask you a question. What do you think your IRA was designed to do? Your IRA was designed to produce income. Many people still think of their IRA as one big pile of money. But I want you to look at it as a future paycheck. The question is not, how much do I have? The question should be, can this account reliably provide income for the next 25 to 35 years? So here is a form, it's called a Uniform Lifetime Table, put out by the IRS. Now, I wish they would really call it what it is. It's a required minimum distribution table, and it shows you the percentage that you're going to have to draw out of your IRA account. So if you look here, let's say at age 73, that's what the Secure Act, one of the things the Secure Act changed was when you have to start drawing out of that IRA. It used to be 70 and a half. I'm not sure where they got that 70 and a half. But now they've changed at age 73. And so you'll see here at age 73, you're going to be required to take out 3.77% of your total IRA. You might have one or two or three IRA accounts. You've got to take out 3.77% out of the total amount inside your IRA. And you'll notice as you get older, you've got to take out more and more. The IRS is basically saying, hey, we've allowed you to grow this money without having to report taxes. Now, when you draw out of it, you're going to have to pay the tax. And yeah, the Secure Act changed the rules. And the biggest change really wasn't for retirees. It was for the children, the next generation. Congress shortened the time heirs have to distribute inherited IRAs. This basically means more taxes may be paid over a shorter period of time. You used to do this thing called you could stretch out your IRA, for example. And by the way, when a spouse passes away, if they're married, the other spouse can continue that IRA and take out distributions throughout their lifetime. But now, when you pass on that IRA to the next generation, your children, typically speaking, they have a 10-year window that they have to take out that IRA. They used to be able to stretch it out throughout their lifetime. Now they've got to take out that IRA account within the 10 years of their parent spouse passing. The biggest retirement risk. So this is something I like to talk about to folks. People worry about market losses. I worry more about taxes and distributions. Many retirees can lose just as much to poor withdrawal planning as they lose during a bear market. And, we're talking about required minimum distribution. You need to know the rules of the IRA account. Many people think an IRA is just another withdrawal. It's not. It affects many other parts of your financial future. Taxable income, if you have to take out a big chunk out of that IRA, it can raise your income. It can also increase your Medicare premiums. I have done other videos about it, depending on what your income is in retirement, it can affect how much you pay on your Medicare, that Part B premium. And it can also increase Social Security taxation. Don't let the IRS become your largest beneficiary. Congress has been waiting decades to tax your IRA. And the Secure Act has pretty much accelerated that process for many families. The goal isn't avoiding taxes altogether. It's basically avoiding unnecessary taxes. I've put up here on the screen a book that I have. It's called The Retirement Savings Time Bomb Ticks Louder. This is by a gentleman by the name of Ed Slott. And he basically talks about many people don't really think about that IRA as they get into retirement. They think, okay, my taxes are going to be lower in retirement, but many times people are having to pay more tax than they realize, and they sometimes don't think about Uncle Sam as their other heir. Uncle Sam is sitting there waiting to take a big chunk out of your IRA, especially if you've let that thing accumulate over the years. Also, we talk about planning for the spouse. So, like me, I'm 59 years of age. Hopefully, I'm going to live a long life. But statistically speaking, women are outliving us guys, and so you kind of got to think about your spouse. One spouse usually becomes responsible for everything. Now, my wife is very intelligent, but I happen to be the one who handles our finances. So we have done some IRA planning to make, to simplify that transition should I pass away before my wife does. Basically help preserve the best retirement income we can have or she can have. Planning for your children. If estate planning is important to you, don't just assume your children will inherit that IRA the way previous generations did. The rules have changed. Building a retirement income strategy. So this is what I spend a lot of my time doing. Yes, I do a lot of Medicare still for folks, Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plan, but more and more, this has become a big part of what I like to help people do. This is where planning becomes personal. Every family is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all solutions. Let me do this slide again. This is where planning becomes personal. Every family is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution. A properly structured IRA can help provide reliable income, lower taxes, more confidence, better protection for your spouse, and again, greater tax efficiency for heirs. And this is why I spend so much time helping retirees with IRA planning. The goal isn't just growing wealth. Yes, growing wealth is important, but it's also about creating confidence. So let me ask you, have you reviewed your IRA recently? Maybe you're retiring, you've got a 401k you're needing to roll over. Maybe you've already done a rollover and you just want to make sure you've got things set up properly. And I'll leave you with this thought. Most people, again, spend around 40 years or more building that IRA, 401k, 403b plans. Very few people spend even 4 or 5 hours learning how to distribute it properly. If it's been several years since someone has reviewed your IRA strategy, or if no one has ever walked you through how the Secure Act affects your family, I'd encourage you to schedule a complimentary IRA and retirement income review. What we'll do, we'll look at your income plan, your beneficiary designations, potential tax saving opportunities, and again, whether your IRA is positioned not just to grow, but to provide confidence throughout retirement, and if important to you, leave a more tax efficient legacy. As we wrap up today, I want you to consider one important question. Am I completely confident that my retirement strategy is built for the next 20 or 30 years, not just the next 2 or 3? Because retirement planning has changed. You know, we're living longer, markets have become more unpredictable, taxes are changing, healthcare costs continue to rise, and many people are discovering that the strategy that helped them accumulate wealth is not necessarily the strategy that will help them protect it and create dependable income. The good news is you don't have to guess. One of the things I've created is what's called an IRA retirement checkup. Think of it like an annual physical for your retirement strategy. During this complimentary review, we'll look at questions like, are you taking more market risk than you need to? How much of retirement income is truly protected? Are there ways to create more predictable income? Are your beneficiaries and retirement accounts structured properly? Are there opportunities you may not be aware of? Are your beneficiaries and retirement accounts structured properly? Are there opportunities you may not be aware of? And here's the important part. You may come out of that meeting and discover that you're doing everything right. And you know what? That's a win. But if there are gaps, risks, or opportunities you haven't considered, wouldn't you rather know while you still have time to make adjustments? A second opinion doesn't mean you have to change anything. It simply means you're making decisions with more information and more confidence. So if you'd like to schedule your complimentary retirement IRA checkup, go to our website, bradrhodesfinancial.com, click on the contact button, schedule a time to talk to me. My commitment is simple. I'll help you understand where you are today, where you want to go, and whether your current strategy is truly aligned with the retirement you've worked so hard to achieve. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time. I look forward to building a retirement plan built around confidence, clarity, and a peace of mind. Take care. Look forward to talking to you soon.